Everybody. Hello. I'm glad you could join me today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Peggy Sideratos. I am a former teacher and the author of the Light Giver Stories and the Light Giver Stories Workbook. These are my books, which are stories and lessons for children to help raise emotionally healthy children. And today, actually, I'm here to talk to a few parents and homeschoolers about teaching kids about humility and why it's so important to teach kids to be humble. And, the thing about humility is a lot of times people don't realize what it really encompasses, and it's much more complex than we realize. Um, One definition that I read that I really loved said, it's not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. And I thought that was pretty awesome because a lot of times people confuse humility with meekness and weakness. And that by being really humble, we might allow people to take advantage of us. And that's not really what it is at all. So before I told you how you can help kids be more humble and practice humility, I thought that it would be good to kind of just give you a brief overview of what it really entails. So one of the things that I really like about humility is that it's admitting that you don't know everything, but you're willing to learn. And that's something that we all need to take part of. There's always room to learn things. Even when sometimes I'm pretty sure I know something, I try really hard not to be adamant about what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, because there's been plenty of times when I thought I knew something and it turns out I was wrong. Humility is realizing your mistakes, taking ownership for them, right? Owning up to them and trying to correct them. It's being of service to other people. It's not caring about taking credit for something. Now, this is something that even I try really hard to remind myself, right? Even if we do something really nice for somebody or we make a donation somewhere, just kind of trying not to take credit for it. Try to not let your right hand know what your left hand's doing, as it says in the Bible. We want so much to take credit for something, especially if we've done something nice. We like accolades. Come on, we're human beings. It really takes a very strong person, a very humble person, to not always want to take credit for something wonderful that they've done. Humility is also offering your gifts and talents without judgment, criticism, and it's also showing compassion to others who may lack your gifting. Being kind and patient to a person who maybe can't perform a task as quickly as you can or as easily. A lot of times we have gifts and talents that somebody else doesn't. And if we see somebody who's struggling with something that comes easily for us, we can kind of get a little impatient, a little short. Like, come on, you don't know how to, boil an egg, or you don't know how to do something so simple. It's easy for us to take a little bit of pride there. But everybody's got weaknesses, just like everybody has strengths. And just as we would want people to be patient with us, humility is being patient with other people. And that's actually one of the things about humility. It is the big brother to patience. And humility reminds us where we started and just how far we need to go, right? A lot of times people forget where they came from, forget their roots, forget what the struggle was like. Some people, not all people who reach a certain level, forget what it was like to be on the opposite side, whether it be working at the lowest part of a business, whatever it may be. So why should we teach kids humility? Well, it's really an important attribute of personal growth. Uh, People who are humble make much better employees, and they definitely make better leaders and employers. They're more open to other people's ideas because they don't have as big an ego. They also handle criticism better. Humility makes other people who are around you feel safe, that they don't have to be, well, that they can just let their protective walls come down, right? We all have strengths, we all have weaknesses, we all sometimes struggle with certain things. And when we have someone around us who makes us feel at ease by telling us, hey, you know what? I struggle with some things too, or yeah, I know what that's like, or I've struggled with something similar to that ourselves. Just lets everybody feel a little bit more at ease. The walls can come down and they can feel more comfortable about themselves. It actually helps to attract other people because it earns their admiration and it earns their respect as well. So it not only makes for healthier relationships in your work relationships, but even in your personal relationships, whether it be with a spouse, whether it be with your parents, siblings, your friends. Humility just makes things go a lot smoother and makes people, well, it makes them like you a little bit more. Humility also encourages self-reflection and helps people examine their motives. Like, why am I doing this? What's leading me to do this? And it definitely helps us to develop our patience muscle. One of the things that I think is really important about humility is that it helps us to not develop this sense of entitlement and thinking that we're owed things. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people these days who kind of have that. And with kids especially, that's also a very big deal. They don't realize a lot of times, the sacrifice that has to go into the things that they get. You know, they expect certain things, and a lot of times they don't realize what goes into it, and that not everybody can have it, and what a gift it is to have certain things. So how can we teach kids humility? Well, the greatest and best way to do it is to model it, right? I always say, and it's a well-known fact, that we learn more and kids learn more by what they are shown than just by what they are told, right? It's one thing to say it, and it's another thing to model for them and to see it every day live in front of them. If you're going to let your ego get the best of you, if you're not going to apologize for your mistakes, if you're critical and judgmental of other people who are struggling with something that maybe comes easily to you, well, you cannot expect kids to act any differently, right? So, and that includes being really patient with kids when they're learning something new, right? We forget sometimes how difficult it was to learn to do something, and we get snappy and impatient. And especially if it was something that may have come easily to us. You know, some people are naturally gifted readers, right? They take to reading really quickly. So if you took to reading and you're like, well, I could read at the age of 3, and, you know, I don't understand why you're struggling so much with it, and you're 7, right? If you're going to lose your patience with your kids, you know, that's just your ego talking, and that's just going to end up hurting them. The next thing is to do, encourage kids when they make a mistake to admit their mistake, to take responsibility for them. Remind them constantly to show appreciation and gratitude. I mean, and that, of course, so many of us teach them to say thank you and excuse me and all these other things, but take it a step further. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having kids write a thank you note or send a thank you email to somebody, or thanking them in person verbally, right? We need to really push that in kids as well. Discourage entitlement, which is something I alluded to before. And one of the ways that you could do that is really by starting at home. Have kids do some chores, some things around the house, so that they can bear some of the responsibility. You know, when we were younger, my brother and I, my parents really tried to instill that in us. They told us flat out that, you know what, we have to work really hard to provide you with these things. They just don't fall from the sky, right? Or there's no tree in the backyard that grows money. I don't know if any of you heard that. I might be dating myself now. But they reminded us that everything that we had, whether it be clothing, and different changes of clothing, right? Not just to have like one thing because they grew up really poor, having a closet that had different changes of clothing, a refrigerator that was full of food, a shelter, all these things that we had that sometimes we take for granted. So by discouraging them to be entitled, by discouraging us to be entitled, we learn to appreciate them. And one of the things that they did, that they instilled in us, which I really appreciate and love, is that they helped us to take responsibility for our part. They kind of taught us that we're a team, that our home, right? We all have a responsibility for our home, for the upkeep, for the cleaning, for taking care of it, for being respectful for things. And that we were like one team. And some members sometimes could provide more effort and do a little bit more than others, but everybody needed to play a part. So by teaching kids to take responsibility in the home, we are also teaching them that they're not necessarily entitled to things. Another thing that we could do to teach kids humility is help them to recognize, honor, and celebrate other people's achievements and greatness, right? It's great to celebrate our own, but when we take the time to help others, to acknowledge others about what they do, and recognize the greatness in others, that's also another way to do that. And one of the ways to do that, which is really sometimes a little bit more difficult for kids to learn, is by teaching them to show good sportsmanship, right? It's great to win, but it doesn't always happen. So teach your kids to be gracious losers and to be gracious winners. Another thing that we could try to do is to try to control their pride by reminding them not to pass judgment on others. And that's challenging sometimes even for us as adults, right? We have that old adage, don't judge someone until you've walked a mile in their shoes. And that's pretty much still relevant. Not everybody's path is the same. And it's important for us to think about other people's perspectives, to kind of ask ourselves, like, you know, how have their paths thus far in their lives influenced them and influence what's going on with them, and not to just feel too prideful. And the next thing I would say is encourage service whenever possible with kids, whether it be serving in any kind of way for your community, for your church, for your school, and to try and teach kids to really see others and not feel superior in any way to others, especially those who are in less fortunate situations. One of the things that I really admired and respected about my dad was he had that sense of humility. I don't know if it just came naturally to him because he came from really difficult, poor backgrounds, and he just had it in him, or if it was just maybe part of his personality. My dad ran restaurants, and he literally worked himself up from dishwasher to waiter to manager, and then to eventually owning the restaurant and having a couple of restaurants. But what I really admired and respected about him was the way he treated his employees. He would never talk down to anybody. He treated them with respect. He treated them as equals. And he had that same thought pattern of the way we were at home, that this, like, we're a team and we all help each other. He brought that in. He had that as well in his restaurant. So he would never think, oh, I'm a boss, so I can't clean tables. If he saw that the busboys were working really hard, and he'd just go in and grab and just start bussing that table, or picking up garbage if he saw something fall on the floor. It wasn't like, oh, I'm the boss, I can't do this. No. It was like, we're a team. We help each other. We do the best that we can together. And when my brother and I would work at his restaurants when we were younger, we had that same thing. Go grab that garbage. Go bust that table. Go help this person with this. It was never, there was no ego. It was, we are a team. And that's really what we are in this world. We are a team. We are supposed to help one another. So we can't be letting our egos get in the way. And that's why we need to practice humility. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I have two announcements to make, which are a little bit different today. For those of you who want to see more videos like this, giving you kind of ideas, ways to help children, you can go to my website, www.thelightgiverstories.com. There's plenty of videos there, and I also have videos on my YouTube page and on this Facebook page. If you're watching it on Facebook or YouTube, I don't know. If you're watching it on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, like my page. On my website, and I've made this announcement before, I give away 2 stories from my book, The Light Giver and Other Stories to Raise Emotionally Healthy Children. And I give away 2 lessons from my Light Giver Stories workbook. So you could just go to my website and it's there. But today I have another special announcement to make. Well, I should say 2 special announcements. Number 1, I am now giving away a free report. No holds barred, just go to the website. Again, that's www.thelightgiverstories.com. And the name of that free report is 7 Strategies to Help Children Better Handle Emotional Stress. It's free to everyone. Just go to the homepage, scroll down a little bit. There's a little link right there. You just click on that. And what I'll do is underneath this video, I'll put a link to my homepage so you can go get there. And please feel free to share it with all your friends. Have them come and get a copy of that free report as well. I think that those hints, those helpful hints can be of great service to you and your children. Again, that's 7 strategies to help children better handle emotional stress. So that's free for you. The other thing that I want to announce is that I'm going to be offering coaching services. So if any of you are interested in getting some helpful hints, having some questions come my way, I'm going to be doing some coaching. So you can reach out to me. You can email me at Peggy@thelightgiverstories.com. That's PEGGY @thelightgiverstories.com. If you have questions, and I'll gladly give you a free consult. Maybe there's something that I can help you with. For those of you who don't know me, I am a former teacher. I worked in the public and private school sector in New York City for more than 14 years. And I've also studied social emotional learning and character development through Rutgers University. So just so you know some of my background. But please go to my website, take a look, and if you have any questions, whether it be about coaching or anything else about my videos, about the report, about the books. By the way, the books are available through my website, and they are also available on Amazon.com. But please feel free to reach out to me, email me with any questions you may have. That's basically it. I just want to say to you today, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to be a light giver. Spread your light, your gifts, your talents, all the gifts that make you uniquely you with other people. That's the way that we can make this world more beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you have a beautiful day. And I thank you for all the nice comments. Please share this video with all your friends and have a great day. Okay, guys, bye.